Chicago, 2011. A cop is murdered. Police and prosecutors swear they have the trigger man. He swears he didn't do it. How far will each side go to prove they're right?
Like it's just one bombshell after another, where you're like, what?
The story of a PlayStation, a brain-eating amoeba, and the relentless pursuit of justice. Off Duty, out now. Listen wherever you get your podcasts.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
Over 90 of the top 100 U.S. accounting firms trust Bill to handle bill pay processes. Why? Because our tools are built on over $1 trillion of secure payments. We're not just moving money. We're powering financial workflows for 500,000 customers. That's a level of expertise you just can't fake. Ready to talk with an expert? Visit Bill.com/proven to get started and grab a $250 gift card as a thank you. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Hello, and welcome to the Psych Legal Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about popular culture through the lens of an attorney and a therapist. I'm Brooke Brigham. I'm the attorney.
And I'm Tess Brigham. I'm the therapist. I wonder at what point we stop saying our last names.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. I'm just kind of used to, because in my working, I'm always saying my full name.
Yeah, same here.
So I guess it's not really natural.
It's very formal.
It is very formal. And, we're just now discovering this after recording 25 episodes. Maybe next time we'll drop that.
Well, and also we have the same last name, so it's a little bit of where,
Well, I guess maybe because we don't say we're sisters in our intro. It's just maybe to make sure we're sisters. But if I just say, I'm here, my name is Brooke.
I'm here with my sister Tess.
Yeah, we probably could drop the last name.
Yeah, okay. You all are here. This groundbreaking moment of the Psych Legal Pop Podcast.
Note the date when
that this happened.
This happened. You saw it all.
All right.
Okay. So, excuse me. So today
we're doing something new.
We're doing something new. We're calling this, I guess, Hot Topic.
Hot Takes. What did you call it?
Oh, Hot Culture. Pop culture. Is it a pop culture? Hot culture? Yeah, I don't know. Just, what pop culture
is happening
right now as we speak. And I don't know, maybe this will be outdated by the time
probably will.
By the time you listen to it.
That's the problem. And that's the problem with hot topics. I mean, they're really not hot after a 24-hour, 48-hour news cycle.
With podcasts, sometimes it takes me a while to get to podcasts. They download, but I don't have time to listen, and then it's old news. So,
anyway. All right. So do you want to talk about the topics? Because I feel like if we come up with something new, we can, why don't we just start going down the list?
Yeah, we're just going to
tell everyone.
Yeah, we're just going to go. Okay, so first, we thought we would talk about a couple things that are happening in Housewives land.
Yes.
If you're a Bravo Housewives fan.
So Brooke and I both watch we've always been Real Housewives fans. We've always talked about it. Our mother was always like, who are you talking about?
Nobody you know.
I know who you know, Mom. So this isn't anyone that you need to be worried about. And then for me personally, I was such a devoted fan, and one of my favorite podcasts is Watch What Crap Is.
That was the first podcast I ever listened to.
Really?
You turned me on to it.
I love Ben and Ronnie. Mm-hmm. And we got to hug Ronnie once.
Yes, we saw them in a live show. We were walking past the venue, and Ronnie was outside smoking a cigarette. And we're like, Ronnie, like we know you. And he was so sweet.
He was so sweet.
He hugged us and he talked to us, and he was great.
Yeah. He's just stars just like us.
Yes.
But and then 2020 hit, and I don't know, something switched inside of me in the midst of the pandemic. I just had a hard time watching these women. I really could not, just with everything that was going on in the world in 2020, It was, I know for some people that was an escape and I understand it, but something switched for me. I just started to get really turned off. And then I watched some of Orange County when they were in the lockdown, and just that was annoying. And, you know, the politics of everything and everything that was going on in the world, I was just like, I can't do it. So since that time, I really haven't been paying attention, but I know enough because
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. If you are part of a certain number of Facebook groups and you get on page 6 enough, you can get every last detail.
Oh yeah, if they're in the news, you can't get away from it.
So are you watching any right now? Or
I am not. I have not watched a full season of Housewives in I don't know how long, and some of them have been years for me. So I haven't watched. I haven't watched. You know, the one franchise that I will always watch, no matter what, is Orange County, and I don't know why, because you know maybe that was the first one, and I don't know. There's something about it. I always like it.
Yeah. Well, it is good, but I was thinking about watching it when Heather Dubrow came back.
Yeah,
but I was just like, God, I don't need to watch this woman show me her $20 million house for 90 episodes. And I don't know. I was just kind of turned off by it. And then, you know, if you pay attention to anything, I heard everything that happened. So I was like, well, why watch it? I know everything that's going on.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, there have been a couple things in the news during the last week. The first one was Lisa Rinna, claims she's leaving house. Nobody ever leaves the Housewives.
Yeah.
But they're nice enough to let the women pretend like they are leaving. And they let them do their own announcement and whatever. So Lisa Rinna announces she's, quote unquote, leaving the Housewives. And I have to say, I'm glad, because one of the reasons I stopped watching Beverly Hills was because couldn't stand Lisa Rinna, couldn't stand Erica Jane. You know, there was just some people who I was just like, I can't with these. They just got on my nerves so badly. And she's one of them. And she just kind of got weird.
Yeah.
She got weird the last couple of years.
Yeah. And I don't quite know why. I mean, was it because Lisa Rinna has been poking around Hollywood forever, and she's been around forever. But this seemed to give her stardom on a different level, it seemed like to me. And I don't know if she started to believe that she was bigger than the show, or bigger than this, or bigger than that, or I know she blamed a lot of stuff on her mother's passing, but that's not really a good excuse. I mean, she was in the beginning when she was first there, she was like a rational person. Yeah. You would listen to her, and I enjoyed her, and I liked her, and I liked how she was a working actress who really saw this as a job. You know, this is my job. This is what I'm going to do. I don't know. I feel like the closer she got to Erica, the more of an asshole she became personally. I never really liked Erica either.
I can't stand Erica. I've never liked her. And she's just insufferable to me.
And that whole vibe of hers is entertaining for about a minute. That whole like, look at me, I'm a pop star, and I get my makeup done, and I'm doing all these videos, and look at, you know, that whole sort of, you know, I'm loved in gay clubs, kind of that whole vibe of hers. It didn't feel real or authentic. It felt really performative. And then as more and more time went on, especially when all the stuff with Tom came out, it just got worse and worse.
Yeah.
Her personality got worse. And
the way she handled the whole thing was
But you said this too, but you said that legally she is being smart about the way she's handling everything.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree that she really should not be talking about it on the show. It's legally smart, but it's the way that just the way she acted. Like, you know, she whenever anyone brought it up, you know, instead of her just politely saying, you know, I can't really talk about this, and this isn't really the time or the place to talk about, she would just go off. Like that time she went off on Sutton at a dinner party. And she, like, if anyone brought it up at all, she just, why did she have to be so nasty about it? just say, I can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. This is really hard. Say, I don't know. But then I guess what would her storyline be?
Yeah, I mean, the smartest thing for her to have done is not be on the show.
Right.
But she needed to be on the show, partially money. And she wasn't going to give up the one thing in her life that was working, right? And now poor thing is living in a 3-bedroom casita or house with a pool. So I feel really bad for her. But so she could not be on the show, but she couldn't possibly. I think that with Erica, she feels like I have to be really strong. Nothing can get to me. And I think what happened was that if she just sort of let herself be vulnerable and maybe not talk necessarily about the case of the lawsuit, but talk about, her feelings.
How hard it's been. World comes crashing down.
Yeah. Her feelings about Tom, everything that's going on. If she allowed herself to be vulnerable and be that person, I think that would have gone a long way. And so I think that every time you see her get really mad and nasty and angry, that's her sadness. It just comes out that way. And that's what it is for a lot of people. They're, anger for a lot of people is far more comfortable than vulnerability or anything else.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So she's very comfortable being angry.
She is very comfortable being angry. That's her default.
Yeah.
So then another thing that happened this week is Shannon Bedore from Orange County. She was dumped by her longtime boyfriend, John Jansen. I think they'd been together 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. So, and she said this was the love of her life, which really surprised me.
And he said the same kind about her. He issued a statement, when it was announced that they broken up, and he said how much he loved her and admired her and said all these glowing things about her, but yet they're breaking up. And so it's really confusing. So I listened to the Jeff Lewis radio show on Sirius XM. Mm-hmm. And he and Shannon are good friends, have been friends for many years. And so she was on his show, I think on Thursday. And, they talked about it. And I came to the conclusion that even though these two really do love each other, I think there was a difference in. I think that Shannon really wanted to be married again. She wanted him to propose to her. She wanted to be married, and he wasn't doing it. And she said that they just finished filming the latest season of Orange County, and she said in the final filming, John was filming, and they were kind of wrapping up the season, and he said, yeah, I really love Shannon and everything, and I'm ready to take the next step with her, which I guess meant marriage. And then
I think Shannon thought it was marriage.
Shannon thought it was marriage. And then, a few weeks later, he's breaking up with her, but it also came out on the Jeff Lewis show that I think they argued and bickered a lot about what, I'm not sure. Maybe this was one of the things, but that, they had a lot of fights, and they had this pattern of, they'd get in a big fight, and then she would tell him to leave her house, or he would just leave. And, it's just this pattern of, there was something they were constantly arguing about.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't take it anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
I do think what's interesting is obviously, Shannon was such a rock star when she first got on the franchise, and really did the polar opposite of Erica Jane, which is she really showed, she was vulnerable. So vulnerable to show the stuff with David and the affair and, laying in that grave. I will never forget that.
And her struggle with, she gained a bunch of weight.
Oh, yeah.
Losing weight.
And so when she and David got divorced, I think a lot of people were very happy for her. Like, here, Shannon, you can go, you do this, go for it. We love you. But seeing what happened with her and Tamara, her and Vicky, and the way her friendships are, I do wonder about Shannon, because Tamara had always said that Shannon was a high maintenance friend. It was a storyline and I think that this is one of the things about Shannon is I think Shannon is one of those people where it's about Shannon. We all know those people. We all meet them where you pick up the phone and it's Shannon, and she's going to tell you about what's going on in her life, and she wants advice and she wants help. And Tamara felt like, hey, you know, are you going to ask me about me and my life and what I'm doing? But I think that Shannon is someone who, it's about Shannon. And David alluded to that too. I think that, listen, I don't know this John Jansen, yeah. I don't know him at all. And I wasn't watching the show during the time of their relationship, but just seeing what we've seen with Shannon over the years, I just think that I think Shannon's someone who, you know, I think she was born into a wealthy family, married wealthy people. I think that she's someone who just, it's, I don't know. I'm trying to find a way of saying this without being too mean. I just think that she's singularly focused a lot of the time. I think it's about her. And also her children are all grown. So I'm sure I think for her, she probably felt like, okay, now it's time for me to get married and I'm going to ride off into the sunset with John and have this kind of life. And I'm sure this is why she's devastated. It's just when someone rips the rug right out from under you. Again, I think David in many ways did that. But, well, so I feel for Shannon. I hope, and we're going to watch this next season. Right.
Orange County, I want to. Yeah.
And talk about it on the show. So let's see how she does.
Yeah.
Oh, but
even filmed. So this won't even be part of it.
Interesting.
Okay. Maybe we'll get some clues.
Yes. Ooh, just like with the Sister Wives.
Yes, foreshadowing.
Yes, we'll see some foreshadowing.
I'm sure we'll figure out what the issues are.
Yes.
Oh, and then one other thing that happened in the past week or two is Jen Shaw.
Oh, from so what do you think about the sentencing and that she got 6.5 years? What do you think?
I mean, I think it's fair. I mean,
a lot of people thought she should have gotten more.
Well, she took a plea deal where I think the maximum she could have gotten was like 8 years.
No, 10.
Oh, 10?
I think the state was recommending 10.
And it's a real federal case.
Sorry. Yeah. So the feds they were recommending 10. And I believe that her counsel was recommending 3.
Yeah.
And so I guess the judge was like, okay, I'll split the difference, which is exactly what they did.
I think it's fair. I mean, she was high up in a. This is not some innocent thing, you know. It's very deliberate, intentional. They were ripping off old people. It was very specific. It was very targeted, and lucky she took that plea deal because I think her exposure was
20 years or more than that.
Huge,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Salt Lake is another show. I think I watched the first season, and then tried to get into it the second season and just quit. I don't know what if it's me. I'm just getting older. I don't know. These people are just not holding my attention.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I try, but I'm just sort of like, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, I never watched Salt Lake. I just couldn't. I didn't care at the time. I didn't care. And the feedback that I've heard from people is no one is telling me, oh my God, it's so amazing. It's so wonderful. All I heard about was how crazy Mary was with the church. And then you hear all of that. And just how Jen Shaw was so tough to watch and just such an asshole
awful
the entire time. And that's the thing about Housewives is it's not meant to be 6 women that are just assholes to each other and mean and cruel. That it's really meant to show a slice of the country and the world of, you know, women, and you need them to be friends and have relationships. And I don't know. And then the other thing with Jen Shaw, her crime was so god awful. I read some of the people's letters to the judge. I mean, just what she did was, you know, these poor people that she ripped off, you know, they're paranoid now. They're, you know, they don't leave their house. They're scared. They're this, they're that. I mean, she did a number on them. She stole their money and their life savings. And it really, really affected them. They feel, I think a lot of them feel really shameful and foolish. And then after she gets sentenced, she goes on some lavish Italian dinner for 20 people. And I thought that was just like, God, Jen, like, have a heart.
She's just not a good person.
She's not.
She's a terrible person. And that's the thing, you know, Housewives, it's you know, it's some of these franchises and some of these people are just getting out of control. They need to bring it back in. They need to reel it in because the characters that are really good are people who, you know, can be themselves, can be vulnerable. And that's why, like with Heather Dubrow, she doesn't bother me too much. I mean, because she's at least being herself. That's who she is. and but these women who think that they need to take it up a notch to like some other level, like Jen Shaw clearly thought she had to do, or, just this being inauthentic, and it's like, people like to see, the rich people and this and that. I don't really care so much about that. If someone's authentic and they're interesting, then they're interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But some of these women are trying to be characters.
Yes.
They go on the show and they're like, okay, this is what I'm going to be. This is my character.
Well, and the other part of it too, and I blame Erica Jane for this, is that it was that the women, they would look pretty, they would look beautiful and glamorous, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Each had their own style. And then Erica Jane comes on and she's got this makeup artist and everything's a look and a glam. And so suddenly she's like Kim Kardashian, and she's planning every single outfit and every single look. And when they go to Germany, she's got to have this look for this day and this look. And so it's not about anything that, I don't think it's not about going to dinner and spending time with friends and talking to other women. It was about my look and what the look is and getting photographed. And then Dorit started to do it. And it seems like that's filtering into the other franchises, because the franchises in the beginning they were about women of a certain wealth, but and their marriages and their children, but it was also about
that extent.
Not to this extent of that everything's about what you're wearing,
makeup every day professionally, and
and then it's all about the look.
Yeah.
Versus I think what made the show interesting in the beginning, which was the show about these women's lives. I mean, that's what the show was in the beginning.
And that's why I think I always gravitate back towards Orange County, because with the exception of Heather Dubrow, they seem just a little more regular to me. I don't know.
Than the other women.
They're not like off the charts. Yeah. They seem a little bit more regular, more normal. Not like Beverly Hills or...
I haven't watched Atlanta for a while because I know Atlanta's always been really the number one rated and really successful. And I think a lot of that is, I don't know, I don't think they're doing the glam stuff in Atlanta. I don't think they're doing any of that. I think that it's very much, Atlanta has always dealt with family issues and relationships. There's obviously been big personalities and all of that on the show. I don't know what's going on these days. I love Candy. I hope they never get rid of Candy.
Oh yeah, well, she is like the backbar of the show.
And that's the other thing too. In each of these shows, in each franchise, you need at least one sane person. You need a Candy. You need maybe, I don't know how people feel about Carol Radziwill, but it was Bethany for a long time. Carol Radziwill. You need someone who is going to look at them and be like, oh God, Yeah. And that's a bit of what Lisa Rinna was doing in the beginning. See, that was the other thing, back to Lisa Rinna. That was the other thing is, if you look at it, she had a friendship with Denise Richards that just got destroyed by the show. And, that's the thing. She seemed to get nuttier and nuttier and nuttier and like ending relationships and friendships as she went along for the show.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's move on. Next topic is really upsetting. Lisa Marie Presley passed away a couple days ago.
Yeah. Age 54.
54. And I mean, what do you say?
It's incredibly tragic.
Tragic. She lost her son 2 years ago to suicide. She's lived in the shadow of her father and that tragedy for her whole life. And I don't know. It's really sad. I think everyone just sort of feels like, we watched her grow up. And
well, there was a lot of, this, when I was younger, I was a big Elvis fan. I used to be really into Elvis, his music. I remember reading that book, Elvis and Me by Priscilla Presley. Now, looking back, I don't know when it occurred to me that Elvis was problematic.
Yeah.
I think slowly over time, I cared less about Elvis, and I also realized that there were problems, one of which being that, he
was dating a 14-year-old or 15-year-old.
He met Priscilla when she was 14, and they had this very bizarre relationship, and I think he obviously was sleeping with other women and then saving her for marriage. because, you know, she loses her virginity on the wedding night, conceives Lisa Marie. Lisa Marie is born 9 months later. But there were lots of problematic things about Elvis. But Lisa Marie, we watched her grow up. She was, what was she? She was 9.
Yeah, she was 9.
9 when her father died. She has good, warm memories of her father, but I'm sure he wasn't around as much. She and her mom, you know, she inherits this, you know, she has this last name. She inherits all this money, and it seemed like for a while, like I thought that things were good with her first marriage. She married just kind of a regular musician,
But, you know, she was only like 20 years old.
Like, she was?
When she got married, 20, maybe 21. She got married very young.
And
she had musician Danny Keough. She had 2 children.
One being Riley Keough, who is an actress.
Yeah, and then Benjamin Keough, who passed away. And then they were only married for 5 years, 5 or 6 years.
But see, I thought, because this I know all of this because I've been reading about it on the web.
Yeah.
I thought she had been married to Danny much longer.
I did too.
And then, of course, the infamous she marries Michael Jackson, which, you know, really everybody was like, what is going on here?
She insists, as she told this to Oprah several times, she insists that was a real marriage and that she really loved him and they had a real marriage, which I still kind of find hard to believe. But
well, you've said this, that when Michael Jackson would call her, it wasn't in that voice. And this is what was talked about in that Finding Neverland too, was that Michael Jackson had a public voice and that he had a private voice. And his private voice was much more like, hey, what's going on? How's it going? That. And that he would talk to her in that voice, and she fell in love with that. And so that's where I'm like, we all have a perception of Michael Jackson, and there's a whole other, well, obviously we learn, you know, there's a lot going on that we didn't know, but you know, with the women that he married, I think he's a very different person.
Yeah.
So they kissed at the Grammys. There was a big controversy. They were like naked in a music video together. There was a lot of stuff, but that lasted 2 years. And then she was engaged to someone else, and then she married Nicolas Cage, and they were engaged, and then you know, then they eventually got married, but regretted it and divorced 6 months later or 5 months later. And then when did she release an album? Because that album of hers was I want to say between Michael Jackson and Nicolas Cage, she released that album.
Yeah. I think it was after.
I think I heard that album.
I did too. It was the one that Lights Out in Memphis.
And she was good, and she did a big media tour for that. And I remember people talked about how she had this, you know, the sneer and the movement, and it was a good album, but then she stopped doing music. And
she might have done maybe one other album after that, I thought.
But again, that's really hard. I mean, to be in the shadow of your father. Yeah. And then she married this last guy, Michael Lockwood, and then they had twin daughters. And they're divorced, and they've been embroiled in a custody battle.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, she was part of Scientology, and I guess, and there's a lot of weirdness around there. I think she left Scientology, but she never publicly came out about any of the Scientology stuff. And it's just, she had a problem with drugs, opioids, painkillers, that thing we don't know at this stage. We don't know what she passed away of. She could have had a heart attack. It could have been something else, but I don't know. It's just, you see her and it's just I feel for Priscilla, like, oh my God, to lose your child, you know, that is just an awful, awful, awful thing. But also it just always felt like always felt sad to me. I never, when I saw her, I never felt like she seemed like she was happy inside of herself. Yeah. And that's one thing about her. And I hope she's at peace now. But she is at peace.
It's a big loss for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and also, you know, losing her son is awful.
And like I was telling you, I saw her in an interview that she did talking about her son. And obviously, any parent who loses a child, you never get over that. It's the most horrible thing that can happen. But the way she was talking about it seemed even more dark to me. like the things that she was saying, how I think she might have even said she wished she was dead or something to that effect. She said she was never ever going to be happy again. She was basically going to be sad for the rest of her life. And I just never heard anyone talk about it quite that way. But yeah, this is this sadness, real sadness.
And I always felt that even with the Michael Jackson, it just always felt really sad. So I guess her mom got her into Scientology. And I think some weird stuff happened in Scientology too. And I wonder if those kids were in Scientology, like
the oldest ones.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, I don't know if that had to do with the kid's suicide or what. He must have been severely depressed.
I think so. I think so. Obviously anyone who commits suicide is severely depressed. But yeah, I don't know. I'd forgotten she was into that. And also too, I think Priscilla, well, thank God for Priscilla, I think she would have had even more problems if Priscilla hadn't been looking out for her, because, like in Elvis's will, he left everything to Lisa Marie.
Yeah.
And one of the first things Priscilla did was, obviously Lisa Marie was a minor, and so I'm sure that Priscilla was involved in, overseeing the finances of everything until she was old enough to inherit the money. Priscilla immediately went to court and got all the Elvis, like the Graceland stuff and the Elvis of all trademarked, so that people couldn't just rip it off and use his image. She did all that legal work.
Very smart.
Yeah.
I mean, for someone who at 16 moved in with Elvis, not a formal education, to be smart enough to do that.
Yeah, she did. She got it all locked up, and they continued to make money. Turned Graceland into a museum, and it's a tourist attraction, and made all this money, and so she amassed a great deal of wealth for her daughter. And you were saying earlier that Lisa Marie maybe didn't handle the money very well, lost a lot of money.
Yeah, I saw this in some weird, I mean, again, this is not hard-hitting journalism here, people. No. I mean, I'm looking at this on page 6 or something like that. But yeah, I guess there was some talk that she wasn't very good with money and that she had lost some money. I don't know. I mean, I can imagine if she owns that, people are going through Graceland every single day. So I don't think she was really hurting for money. But people saw her at the Golden Globes recently, and she was slurring and a lot of it.
I saw some videos. So didn't look good.
I mean,
she didn't look healthy.
Yeah.
She looked very thin and gaunt and didn't look good.
Oh God, poor Priscilla, just losing your daughter, losing your grandson, and then 2 years later losing your daughter. I mean, it's really tragic. And I think that this is what we see in families. It's weird. It's like some of these families, and I don't know if it's fame and fortune or, this stuff obviously happens to everybody, but you just see with some of these families, like we talked about with the Madoff stuff, like there's something about this where this tragedy, just tragedy after tragedy. So,
yeah. Well, rest in peace.
Yes.
Lisa Marie.
Lisa Marie, I hope you're with your dad and your son, and life is good.
Okay. So in something a little more light, this is actually kind of funny. Okay. Allegedly, Kanye West got married to this girl, Bianca Censori.
Yes.
Who is what do they call her?
She's an architect. Well, yeah, he was one of his staffers who was she's got an architectural, she's an architect. She is his architectural designer. And so the best is page 6 wrote this thing.
This is funny.
It says, one of the exclusive, Kim Kardashian hates Kanye West's new wife, Bianca Censori. Censori? Anyway, the world was shocked by news that that Kanye West married one of his staffers. So insiders say that the former Miss West has long despised Censori for no obvious reason, unless that is, that she had suspected there was a certain frisson between Censori and the rapper turned raving lunatic. Like, good for you, page 6. Kim hates her, says an insider. Of course, that insider is probably there at the office. Sources say that it was well known around the Yeezy HQ that the boss's wife didn't like her and suspected that his architectural designer wanted to do more than handle his erections. Ooh. And also, adds an insider, she's pretty, and Kim hates pretty girls. That seems a little crazy. But they didn't get a wedding certificate.
No, it's
not a legal marriage. Well, wait and see what happens. But I don't think Kim Kardashian is. I don't think she is. I think F's about this whatsoever. I don't know who this insider is.
She's relieved that, she's no longer married to him and she does not care.
And his focus is not on her and what she's wearing, what she's doing, and criticizing her constantly. Its focus is now on
people now obsessed about this other woman.
Yeah, just dress her up and make her a doll.
Well, we'll see if this woman is even around in 2 weeks.
Yeah, but I just love how Page Six is just cutting right to it.
I love that. Former rapper turned raging lunatic. That sums it up. Okay, and then another thing that's been in the news for several weeks, but I don't know why I find this story just kind of amusing. Okay, but these Good Morning America hosts.
Yes.
What is it? Amy Robach and TJ
Woodward. Oh God, we should have written this down. Sorry, not a very professional podcast here. Good. I'm just gonna look up Good Morning America. I bet you they're the first people that come up. The first, here we go. TJ Holmes. So you type in Good Morning America, and once you get past their website,
it's all about these two.
So TJ Holmes and Amy Robach. Yes, their affair.
So Amy was married to Andrew Shue of Melrose Place.
Yes.
Fame.
Yes.
But apparently they were divorced. They got a divorce. The divorce was final. Now TJ is also married. But he and his wife were allegedly separated, but according to her, we're still working on the marriage and still talking, whatever. Well, they get caught having an affair. And
they both so apparently they get caught having the affair. And I think that the ratings went through, like they were still on the air.
Yeah.
And the ratings went through the roof.
Because the pictures of them that were caught, they're like hugging, kissing, grabbing each other. I mean, it's like really, spicy.
Yeah.
It's like a spicy affair. And they're kind of out in public, not really trying to hide.
Yeah. So is it possible that TJ Holmes didn't think they were working on the marriage and he thought they were separated?
I mean, I guess it's possible. But it doesn't look, it's a bad look because of that. And also because apparently he had had an affair previously with a producer, I think.
When he was here in San Francisco. I guess he was on a local news channel around here. I don't remember.
Yeah. And that was with his first wife, I think, because this is his second wife. So he had an affair on the first wife. They got divorced. So, it's just not a good look. And so I guess, so after they both came back on the air, after the news broke, they were just acting like fun and flirty, as always. Like,
and that's when the ratings exploded, and then they pulled them off the air. I don't even know what's going on now.
Well, they're having a investigation.
Oh, okay.
They're doing an investigation. So I think what they're doing is they're deciding if they should fire these two or keep them. They're probably doing some market research to find out, would the ratings be higher if we let them stay on the air, or should we fire them? So what's the right thing to do?
I maintain, and I understand that people are like, well, there's a morality clause, and if you're going to fire, I don't know, Matt Lauer or these other people, shouldn't you fire them? Personally,
Matt Lauer was sexually assaulting people.
Yes.
These are consenting.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. That it was. They're two consenting adults. We're not inside their marriages. We don't know exactly what's going on. And quite frankly, it's the fourth hour of the show. Yeah. I mean, it is not hard.
I mean, I didn't know who these people were until this story broke. I was like, who? What? Good Morning America has a fourth hour? Yeah. I've never even seen the first hour.
Yes.
I mean, I don't watch these shows.
All of these shows, the Today Show and the Good Morning America, all these morning news shows, I mean, they do serious stories
for the
first hour, and they get more of their journalists on those stories, and they're doing all this. But obviously, as the morning is going on,
it just gets wilder and wilder
as people get a little bit later in the day, as we get closer to the noon hour. And so what are they doing? Like the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock hour? And I mean, who cares?
Right.
I mean, that's the part I don't understand is cares? Who cares if these two people are having an affair? They're consenting adults. I would tune in. I totally.
Yeah, I want to see.
You know what?
See the chemistry.
Yeah, I want to see the chemistry. I want to see the two of them together. They obviously have chemistry. They're great on the air together.
Yeah.
Come on. Like, why are we denying ourselves this?
Two good-looking people. Geez, like let us have some fun.
Yeah. So anyway,
so we'll report back to the results of the investigation. We'll see what happens.
Well, now this is saying that they may sue. So they're saying TJ Holmes and Amy Ribark are saying that we're going to sue ABC if they get fired.
Oh.
I wonder what their grounds are for that. But they feel like, oh no, wait. It says, oh God, who knows what these stories? It's hard to tell.
Yeah,
this is
speculation.
Yeah, it's all speculation. No one really knows for sure. But I don't know. I say keep them on the air. Who cares? It's not hard-hitting news. It's not anything of great importance. Our world is so bizarre. News is not what it once was. So let's stop pretending like it is and see it for what it is, which is, if this is just good fun, I mean, it's okay for Hoda and Kathy Lee to drink 4 or 5 glasses of wine,
right,
and talk about whatever they want. Let these two flirt. What do I care?
I don't care. All right. So another topic people have been complaining about is this whole Nepo babies.
Nepo babies.
So Nepo for nepotism. So, there's a lot of people working in Hollywood, working in news, working in whatever, who, they benefit from nepotism. Mm-hmm. And I benefit from nepotism. I work for my father. And I don't really I don't understand what the big deal is. It's a family business.
Yeah.
There's lots of family businesses. And like, someone was criticizing, which actor was it? Tom Hanks?
So Tom Hanks' son is in his new
and Tom Hanks basically said, it's a family business.
Yes.
Like, what is the big deal? And you were talking about Judd Apatow's
people
daughter.
are mad that Maude Apatow is going to be in an off-Broadway production of Little Shop of Horrors. I'm like, it's an off-Broadway production of a show that's been out forever. What do you care? Can she sing? Oh, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's nepotism everywhere. I also want to say that when I was in Hollywood, I also benefited from nepotism because our aunt got me my first internship in LA. Like, I got that because I knew someone in the industry that got me my next internship. That internship got me my next job, the next job, right? Mm-hmm. So I had those. We all have people in our lives that introduce us to other people. And yes, for you, for example, right? Like, you were able to make this transition from working as a criminal attorney to doing more civil litigation because of our father. And yes, if you had interviewed at a bunch of law firms, most likely you wouldn't have gotten a job because you didn't have the background. And yeah, that helped you tremendously. But you've been, and this is the part that people need to hear, is that Dad would have fired you a long time ago if you really sucked. I mean,
yeah, he's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. So, and that's the same thing with these Nepo babies. And just from my limited time in Hollywood is that yes, if I remember when I was there, the big thing was Kate Hudson, and you saw her and it was like, oh my God, it's Goldie Hawn at age 20 again. It was amazing to see her because she looked so much like her. And yeah, Kate Hudson didn't have to work a waitressing job while she, tried to get an agent to sign her. She obviously, her mom said, here, I'm going to introduce you to an agent. So all of these kids, Maude Apatow, Riley Keough, like all of these people that we're talking about.
Cindy Crawford's daughter,
Kaya Gerber, who is just God.
And again, if you don't have the talent, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
If Kaya Gerber wasn't the spitting image of her mother, she would not be modeling.
Well, and that's the other part.
It's like, you have to have the ability to act, the ability to do whatever it is. So it's not, they're getting their foot in the door because of their parents and maybe getting a job because of their parents, but they're not going to stick around long if they can't deliver.
Yeah. No, that's very true because yes, that the parents are going to help you. These parents are going to help you get an agent and they're going to help you maybe get a name manager. They'll get you in these rooms. You might get, your agent might put you out for some shows and the casting director it might be novel for the casting director to want to see like, ooh, who's Judd Apatow's daughter? Let me check her out and see what she's like. But at the end of the day, you have to do the work.
Yeah.
You have to be good.
Deliver.
If Kate Hudson couldn't get the lines out and couldn't do it, she would have been out. Maude Apatow, all of these people that we're talking about, they had a huge step up and it was much easier for them. But yeah, you have to do the work. And they're children of celebrities. So the other part of it too is that a lot of them are very attractive, you know, because attractive people coming together and birthing more attractive, you know, people, a lot of them are attractive. And this is what they have been surrounded by their entire lives. And it's feasible. One reason why a lot of people don't go to Hollywood is it is really hard to make it. And a lot of people decide that's just too difficult. That's just too hard. And so, but if you're one step removed from it, it's possible.
Right.
Right.
And like I said, you know that like small family businesses make up most of the businesses in this country. This happens all day, every day, everywhere. It just happens and it happens in Hollywood, which is just a different forum, and it's, you know, much more amplified and we all see it and know about it. But this is nothing new. So everyone take a chill pill, because trust me, if you were famous and you could put your kid in a movie, you would do it. I would do it.
Well, and also if your parents are both actors and you want to act or you're curious about it. And yeah, I mean, if I wanted to become a lawyer, you know, and if I wanted to do it, I would maybe have a job unlike someone else. So I don't know. I think that people just like talking about it, and kind of, I think the other part of it too is it seems, especially now with everything, social media, and we're so into everybody's lives all the time. So many of these celebrities that we've grown up with are now have these kids. And I think it's just become really novel to see like, ooh, that's Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke's kid.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I don't know, when I was a kid and.
Well, you could go back in time. You have like, you know, Martin Sheen. And, you know, we have Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez. You have the Michael Douglas, Kirk Douglas. I mean, this has always existed. Tippi Hedren and Melanie Griffith. You know, this has always existed. This is nothing new.
Yes, nothing new.
Nothing new. Okay. So the last thing we want to talk about is, and this segues into, we're going to start covering the show 90 Day Fiance The Other Way. Ooh. I think it premieres, is it the 29th?
The 29th, Sunday the 29th.
So January 29th.
So the Monday the 30th show will be about it.
Now, 90 Day Fiance is a very popular franchise. If you're listening to this pop culture podcast, I'm sure you know all about it. But, you know, basically it started out as a reality show where people, Americans, would bring their partners over from other countries. There's something called a K-1 visa, where if you are engaged, you can have your fiance come over here and you have to get married within 90 days and then you can start the immigration process. So they were profiling couples that were doing this. And so it's a very popular show. And then along the way, they started branching out and doing sort of different iterations of the show. And this iteration, 90 Day The Other Way, is where an American goes to live. Not necessarily, they don't have like the equal immigration process like we have, but not necessarily to immigrate, but goes to another country to live with someone who they've met, fallen in love with, and they want to see if they can go live there and be with them. And a lot of times it's because for some reason the person in the other country can't get a K-1 visa. You know, there's a lot of countries I think that they're more suspicious of, or maybe they have a criminal record, or, you know, they can't get a K-1 visa.
So they're going there. And as if you've followed 90 Day Fiance, that you know that, right, in the beginning it was real couples, people that fell in love and happened to be on this show and all of that. The downside of what's happened, and this happens with all reality shows, it happens with the Housewives, it happens everywhere, which is that as the show became more and more popular, more and more people got on there that were like, oh, this is my ticket to stardom. This is my ticket to fame. And that's when I stopped watching the show. I was just like, I cannot watch Colty and what was her name? Larissa argue, you know, in front of that Vegas slot machine any longer about anything.
But I always feel like The Other Way was able to keep its authenticity because it's a bigger deal for an American to go live in another country than vice versa.
Yeah. And exactly what you're saying, because there are usually other problems that are going on then. And again, like anything else, the people that are the people that like have made it and lasted are the least problematic, are the ones that are really in love, and the other ones. So we're going to go through and talk about the couple. We're going to
talk about the couples. It's just a short introduction to them.
So the first couple is Jen, who's from Oklahoma, and Rishi, who's from India. After meeting in a hotel lobby on a trip to India, Jen took a hard pass on Rishi. Fast forward a month, she said yes to his marriage proposal. Okay, what happened there? Rishi is facing a lot of pressure from his family as they want to set up an arranged marriage, and to make matters more complicated, they have no idea about his relationship with Jen. That's going to be very interesting.
That's a lot. So now we know, like from watching another couple, Jenny and Sumit, these Indian families do not take kindly to Americans coming over and wanting to marry their children. And they want their children to marry another Indian person, and they want to arrange it and pick the right person.
Yeah. Well, and also, and I've had this with clients of mine here in the U.S. where there are, they might fall in love with someone who is also Indian, but they're from a different sect.
Right.
And that is a big deal. That is also a big deal.
Yeah, so very classist caste system.
Yeah, and I've had clients sort of explain to me, like, if you have this last name, this is where you're from. If you have this last name, and this is what this means. And I've heard some stories, and it's always so surprising to me, because this very Americanized way of thinking about it is, oh, you love each other.
Right.
It's love. Make us church. And come on, and all this. But for, I assume, Rishi's family, this is no joke.
Yeah, no, this is not going to go well. And it sounds like they don't know that she's coming.
Yeah, they don't know about his relationship with her.
Oh, great.
And I don't understand why she said a hard pass, and then a month later, she's like, yes, let's go. But who knows? We'll find out.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to read this one? Or
go ahead and read it. It's too far away.
All right. Chris is from Alabama, and Jeymi. How would you?
Jamie?
I think
so. Chris is a woman, and
Jamie's a woman. And Jamie's from Colombia. So Chris has faced many challenges in her life, but has now built a strong foundation for her family in the U.S. She risks everything to move to Colombia to marry Jamie, who she has never met in person. The clock is ticking with their wedding plan for just days after Chris arrives in Colombia.
Why?
It's making your life so hard here. But I wonder if that's a integration thing, or...
Well, I doubt that is gay marriage even legal
in Colombia? That's a good question. I don't know. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's a religious thing. Maybe she feels like she has to marry right away. I don't know.
This I can just tell
I don't know. And the other thing is, Chris has finally gotten her life together in the U.S., just like with these sister wives. Like, why are you now doing this? Right? Your life is just together, and you're now making, you're now going to add this. All right. Now, this is the next couple. These Liz look really interesting. I like her look. Nicole from California and Mahmoud from Egypt. Nicole met Mahmoud in a fabric store on her last day of a spiritual tour through Egypt. On that very first day, he proposed.
Wow.
Nicole traveled back to Egypt 3 weeks later to get married without informing her family and friends until after the fact. Now she's ready to go all in on her move to Egypt, but Nicole worries that some cultural differences may be too big to overcome. So they meet.
So they're not married yet.
Yeah, they are married. So she's on the spiritual trip. She meets him in a fabric store. That same day he proposes. She comes back home, stays here for 3 weeks, goes back there, marries him without telling anybody, probably then comes back home, tells everyone she got married. And now they're probably like, what are you doing? And now she's moving to Egypt for them to be together.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot too. Oof. Okay. Danielle, New York, and Johan, Dominican Republic. Okay. Fresh from 90 Day Fiance, Love in Paradise. So I guess I didn't see this version because I saw another one. This couple is no stranger to the struggles of living separate lives in different countries. Now, Danielle is leaving her home and job in New York City in an effort to convince Johan to make the Dominican Republic their forever home.
Now, I saw this couple on the Love in Paradise. Now, first of all, they don't say their ages, but Jen is probably...
No, Danielle.
I'm sorry. Danielle is probably
Late 50s? 60s?
No. She's like maybe 50.
Okay.
Late 40s, around 50.
Oh, God, that's my age. I feel like I would. Okay. Well, God,
okay.
Maybe I look older than I think. Okay, keep going.
Oh, no, you're you're fine, Tess. Don't worry. Johan is like 25.
Oh, yeah.
He's very young. He works at this resort, and he's kind of like, the hot
He's cute. I can
resort guy.
He's this side. He looks very cute.
Super tall. He's like 7 feet tall. He's like very good looking,
very muscular,
and she's very cute too. But there's this huge age difference, and like she's mature. She's mature. She's responsible. He's just kind of like,
And you talk to people that are younger. I mean, I work with young people all day, every day, and I talk to my younger clients, and I'm like, oh, God, I cannot imagine marrying a 25-year-old at my age. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I don't have the patience or
that young.
Yeah.
And what would we talk about? Like,
I mean, that's the thing. He's basically super hot.
Yeah.
And they probably have great sex. Yeah. It's like, that doesn't mean you get married or live together or.
Yeah. Yeah, Danielle, why can't he just be in the Dominican Republic and you go down there maybe once a quarter?
Yeah, have a little vacation.
Get your groove back on and then come back a week later and then come on back down again. I mean,
and she's also going to be, the one thing she has going for her, she does speak Spanish. Okay. So there's not
that's good.
A language. A lot of times there's a language barrier.
God, the ones who don't even speak the same language.
So she speaks Spanish, but like in the Love in Paradise show, like, money was an issue. I mean, she's basically supporting him.
Yeah.
But
she's giving up her career in New York, where I'm sure she made I don't know what she did, but I mean, what is she going to do in the Dominican Republic?
I don't know.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Anyway.
And then where are we? Okay. Gabriel is from Florida and Isabel is from Colombia. Gabe is a budding entrepreneur who travels to Colombia for work. He meets Isabel, who accepts him for who he is, a transgender man. As their relationship fortifies, so do their fears of acceptance. So I think this is going to be very complicated and very interesting.
We watched a clip on the trailer online where they're going. It's a scene where they're in Colombia and they are going to tell her parents about Gabriel's quote unquote secret. So they're going to go tell her parents that he's a transgender man. Why they need to know that?
I don't think anybody needs to know it.
That's nobody's business, and it's like, why are you telling? And she's saying, I can't believe I have to choose between, my love and my family. So obviously they probably give her an ultimatum. Like, either you get rid of this person or we're gone.
Well, what's really interesting is I feel like I wonder if they weren't on the show, if Gabe and Isabel would even say anything to her family. And listen, I have nothing to back this up, but part of me kind of feels like it's TLC. Part of me feels like TLC likes the story because it's new and different for them and it's something that's happening in the world today. But that if, and obviously because it's on TV, the family is going to find out about Gabe. So if they talk about it on TV, and there's a part of me that wonders, couldn't TLC just say, well, we'll never talk about it? Do you know what I mean? Like, why does anyone need to know?
Well, that's probably why they got cast. They probably said, we'll cast you, but you have,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, this has to be your storyline.
So I guess I wonder why could they have just not chosen to be on the show? Yeah, they tell people that only need to know. And family doesn't need to know.
They obviously want to be on the show more than they want.
Or I don't know. Listen, I don't know what it's like to be transgender. So maybe for Gabe, this is really important that this is.
Maybe. That everybody knows his truth.
Is truth. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
So, but that's going to be, I think that's very, that's, so far they haven't had anyone transgender on the show. Okay, this is our last couple. Debbie, who's from Georgia, and Usama from Morocco. They connected through a love of art, and despite Debbie being 43 years his senior, fell in love because their souls connected. Debbie is packing her bags to spend the rest of her life in Morocco with Usama. Usama, sorry. Although she faces skepticism from her family, Debbie is going in with her eyes and heart wide open. I don't see this happening.
Well, 43-year age difference, no.
Morocco. I mean, and what's really hard, and we saw this with Nicole and Azan, which is these Middle Eastern, these countries are not easy for women.
And also he's probably, if she's 43 years older, what do you think he's like? Maybe 25?
Yeah. I mean, she looks like
about 65-ish?
Yeah. Yeah. So I bet you he's like 22, 23, 24, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, we've had on previous seasons, couples similar to this. You know, the man always wants to have a child.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which is not possible for this woman. And culturally, religiously, everything about this is it's just not going to work.
Well, and we've seen this where culturally for the man, yes, he wants to have a child and that he, it's a patriarchal society, right? So he wants to be in charge. And then the woman comes in and says, this is because we Americans stomp right into every country and go, look at us, our way or the highway. And these women, they come in and they say, well, I've always been in charge of my life, or I'm an independent person. And then they fight about it. It's like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, they go to these countries where, they're expected, the men are all going to expect them to act a certain way. And they're like, well, wait a minute. Like, I'm an independent American.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, wait, did you not
think this through?
Could you just Google, just Google, Morocco,
I feel like
gender roles in Morocco, something.
I feel like, I don't know, I could be wrong, but I feel like they cast him on the show and they said, don't do anything now. Like, don't read anything or look at anything at all. We want you to be surprised. Like, don't do any research.
Don't do any research. Now, how did they meet?
Through art. I think they met online. They connected through love of art, and despite, I think that, honestly, I think that he probably slid into her DMs. Because I get those people too on my Facebook or Instagram that are like, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
but they slide into your DMs.
And answer them.
And maybe she had something on Instagram that she thought was beautiful and he commented on. So they fell in love through the art.
Wow.
Ooh, well, this is going to be a show. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm very excited. All right. Oh, boy.
Okay, so those were our hot topics.
Yes.
Please, if you're interested in 90-Day Fiance The Other Way, tune in for our first recap of that, which would be the 30th of January.
Yep.
It'd be every Monday.
Yep.
And thanks so much. If you like the podcast or enjoying the podcast, we would appreciate it if you would subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
And also rate and review. Give us a 5-star review. That really helps to spread the word.
Yeah.
And thanks so much. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
This message comes from Jackson. Taxes aren't something you can only think about once a year. With investments, planning for tax day is year-round. Fortunately, Jackson offers tax-efficient products. Visit jackson.com for more information on how our products can make your tax bill a little bit less painful. Jackson is short for Jackson Financial Incorporated, Jackson National Life Insurance Company, Lansing, Michigan, and Jackson National Life Insurance Company of New York, Purchase, New York.
With almost 500,000 customers and over $1 trillion of secure payments, Bill isn't new to intelligent finance. It's the proven way to simplify bill pay and maximize cash flow. Want to learn more? Visit Bill.com/proven for a special offer.